Getting ready to put tracks on my Argo. These are Adair tracks. Before you set your machine up for tracks, you have to take all the tires off, measure the circumference of the tire, or the distance around the tire, and I can tell you some of mine are as much as 2 inches difference between other ones, and so pump them all up to exactly 5 pounds, measure the diameter of the tires. The biggest tire is going to be the second tire, the smallest tire is the front tire, the second biggest tire will be this tire here, and then the third biggest tire is on the very back of the machine. Okay, we're going to take that valve stem out of here and let all the air out of the tires now before we try to do these tracks. Do that on all 4 corners. So now we're going to put this track on. What we're going to do with that, put it up here, put this ratchet strap on it. You can tie a rope on it or whatever. I just find that these work easy. Then you go back here to the back of the machine. Okay, so the easiest way, I think, to do this, and there's probably an easier way, but this is the easiest I've found, is I have this miniature ratchet strap that I use. I'm going to hook it on up over here, one of those. Hook it onto here. So these hinges are stainless steel, and if you use the steel bolt on this, then you're going to the steel is going to be harder than the stainless steel, and they'll wear your hinges out. And so I have stainless steel bolts. I'm going to put the bolt from the outside in, because if there's any spare space, I want it on the inside. I want it rubbing up against my plastic tub. And these are lock nuts that I'm going to put, lock nuts on here. And so that one is done. I'm going to let this off. I'm going to move it over here so I'm not jacking the entire thing. And we'll do it right there. When I tighten this up, since these are self-locking, I want to make sure that's drove all the way in, but I want to make sure that I don't bind up that hinge, and so I'm just going to get it so it's snugged on there. But I want that hinge to still be able to move. A tool expert friend of mine recently told me that every tool has a hammer side. And that's the hammer side. Alright, so that is on. Then I just have to reinflate those tires. We're going to put this valve stem in the tire so that we can pump it up. There, and then we'll pump those tires up. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and put air in this tire, and if you remember earlier, the front ones have 5, the 2 middle ones have 7, and this is a back tire, so it should have 6 pounds of pressure in it. I've got a pressure gauge here that is actually only reads to 20 pounds total, and so it measures these lower ones relatively well. Six. All right, I thought I'd share a couple modifications that I've done with my Argo just to make life a little easier. I put a little custom bungee on here. I custom made that myself. It's really nice. And then I also, and we'll look at that in a second, I also, these hinges initially come with a spacer in between and a pin that goes each way, and it's designed so that when you open the hood up, you could just slide it and it would come off. And what I found is that there's no reason you'd ever take this hood off. This hood will set up like this all by itself and it's fine. Or, better yet, it just stays down here. Problem that I had was, so I made this little custom strap here. And the reason I made this strap is these frames on these Argos flex when you're going across things, so you're hitting big bumps and going over things. The frame will flex. These latches come loose, and then as soon as you go down into a stream and hit a big bump, this goes flying up. You hit the stream, splash, you fill it up with water. Fantastic. And so what I did was I made this little bungee, and that way even if the latches come loose, this can't go anywhere. The other reason I did that is I was out in my machine one time. We were out way in the back country, came back, loaded our machines on the trailer and headed down the road. Apparently I hit a bump, this went up, that went off, and I lost my hood. Bought a new hood for $1,000, fantastic. And so that's when I drilled these bolts out, or these out, the hinges, put that bolt in there, so now that can't come off. And I put this on here to keep it down all the time because I was tired of that game. And so if I bought a brand new Argo, I would do that same modification to it right away. The other thing that I've done to my Argo is I put better lighting on it. These lights here, and they come with, the new ones come with better lights than these. These are not great lights, but you can never have enough light at night, especially when if you're off the trail, out somewhere crazy. I guarantee you cannot see well enough, and even these lights aren't enough. I may add more light to this. More light, more better. You can see tire, axle with light on it. One of the modifications I've been working on here is you can see that the belly pan gets gravel down in here. It bows this out until it breaks the rivets. And so what I did was I pulled this out, stuck a hose down there, and hosed all that out to get all the gravel and stuff out of it. I'm going to pop this rivet off right here so that I can make sure that that's clean down in there. And then I'm going to re-bolt this. And when I re-bolt it, I'm going to put a bead of silicone across in here so that gravel can't get back down. And I will say, if I bought a brand new Argo, I would put a bead of silicone on there before I ever took it out. Because what happens is it gets one piece of sand there, and then a bigger piece of sand, and it keeps wiggling down, and pretty soon it's getting gravel down there. And it finally busted this off, and it was hanging out about like that. And I was afraid that it would catch on something. And so I'm going to go ahead and proceed with this, and you can kind of check out the process. I'll speed it up in places so it's not too boring. So what I've done is I've popped 2 of the rivets off, put a chisel down through here to hold a gap there, and I'm just going to take a hose. I'm just going to shoot water down through there, and you can see all the mud and junk coming out of there. Okay, so you can see I've drilled out 5 holes. I really only wanted 4, but I didn't want to leave this one to leak. And I'm just going to put this on the top, the silicone kind of on the top of this. So you can see I got a bead of silicone down through there. I'm going to squeeze that up, and hopefully it'll come oozing up. I'm sure that when you get this thing submerged in water, which is going to happen, the water's going to get in there. It's going to have to evaporate out. And so there's going to be lots of places that it can still work its way out that haven't got gravel into it. And so we're going to count on the fact that that's going to work. Okay, what I'm going to use for this is a 1-inch stainless steel bolt. I'm going to put a fender washer on it and put that through there. I'm going to go on the other side with a nylon lock nut. Put that on it. Okay, you can see the final product here. Just a bead of silicone along the top of that. And that should hopefully keep gravel from getting down in there. And you can see here, I got some gap on that one. And you can see there's a busted rivet right there. And that one's busted. So I'm going to jack the front up, take this tire off, and do the same thing to that one.
The last modification I'll share is mud flaps.